Hello, everyone. Hope you can all hear me fine. I'm kind of shaken up from like last week. I think it was that y'all couldn't hear me, or like, I was having some audio issues, and now I get a little paranoid every time. Hi, welcome to the last week of the free JavaScript bootcamp. Isn't it incredible to think that we've been at this since the beginning, like towards the beginning of February, and we're approaching the end of it now. Folks, you might have noticed that, especially if you're in the United States, in the Americas, or places where daylight savings time isn't a thing, we are going live at a different time now. This is because of daylight savings time hitting Europe yesterday. So some of y'all might notice that we're on an hour before or after. I'm not going to do math right now. But yeah, this is the final week. You might be thinking like, whoa, I'm so behind. Please don't worry. Please don't stress. Remember that we are in this together. Remember that this is self-paced. Remember that everything is recorded. Some quick notes before we start. Speaking of being recorded, if you want to catch up on the bootcamp, you can find everything on youtube.com/@website club. If you want to join the Discord and ask questions, engage, share feedback, share projects for feedback, go to bit.ly/bdbc-discord-invite. And by joining this bootcamp, you agree to abide by your code of conduct. If you see anything out of sorts, please let either myself or Jess know. Hi, folks. Good to see you all joining in the chat. One final link before we start. Here's the schedule. We've got one more week. Oh, Philip says, I have loads of work to catch up. Please don't worry. Remember, we're using these live sessions to introduce concepts, to talk a little bit, to ask questions. Please ask questions. So don't worry. Remember, this is all recorded. You can go at your own pace. Oh, Shane says, I'm still doing my Roman numeral and cash register projects. Cool. See, there's no rush. Like, the great thing about this free code camp certification is that you can get it whenever you like. Okay, let's hop into what we're doing today. Today, as you can tell, we don't have a lot of steps left in our learnings about promises and the fetch API. Nevertheless, I want to take the time to, well, since this is a short one, I kind of want to finish it and give you all the opportunity to ask as many questions as you like. So it could be that we go home, go about the rest of our days a little earlier today, and that's totally fine. And on that note, before going into the steps themselves, I want to take a brief moment to cover promises once again, just in case as is quite common for me, I might have gone a little bit quickly over it last week. I just want to take a moment to go over it again. And so just to cover it again, promises are a mechanism from JavaScript that allow us to be able to run asynchronous code. And I like to think of it as somebody for perhaps taking your order, right? You say, hey, can you go get this for me? And then you trust that mechanism will go fetch your order. It'll be processed on the internet. You don't have to think about it. You can go about running your code, the rest of your code. You can go about setting up, I don't know, the rest of your variables, the rest of all of your stuff. And once that's done in the cloud, in the meantime, aside from what we're doing now, then there's the promise of that code being executed when that, for example, going to get that order is done. So in what we've been using here is the fetch API, which lets us fetch or post or retrieve data from the internet. Say, hey, go and fetch me whatever is at this address. And JavaScript's like, cool, I gotcha. I'm going to keep doing stuff in the background. Sorry, let me try it again. I'm going to be doing this in the background. In the meantime, I'm going to keep doing my thing. Once I hear back from this website, then we'll do this. So in this case, because we are getting JSON data, the fetch API allows us to turn that response. And remember that response, I don't know if you remember, looked like a bunch of data with like a body, some headers, and some other stuff. What we're particularly worried about in this situation is the JSON data that's in that response. So we'll say, hey, take that response and get that JSON data for me. And that itself processing that response into a JSON is also asynchronous. So we're saying, hey, do that. Don't care when it's done, but when it's done, then do this with the data. And so here, in our case, for example, we're loading that data into our author data array, and we're displaying those authors, if you remember, from the starting index to the ending index, which in our case are going to be 0 to 8. Now, here's the thing. When I load this website, let's say just as I'm getting ready to load that author data, let's say there's an internet outage, right? And my computer can't connect to the internet anymore. So when this fetch thing goes to look for the authors and it's like, hold on a sec, I don't have internet, it could be that we would get an error or a connection timeout error in this case. I can't demonstrate it now because if I put my computer offline, y'all aren't going to see me anymore because I'm streaming using the internet. But go with me on a journey. So in case there's an error, in case with either fetching or processing that JSON, we can say, hey, if there's an error, don't freak out. We're going to handle it. I've got some code here that will handle that error. So we'll say like, okay, we're going to catch the error. And with that error, in our case here, we're just going to console log it. We're just going to be like, hey, in the console log, we're going to be like, hey, there's an error. So we're going to catch an error. And this is like error proofing our code, because we have very little control over asynchronous processes like this, especially if we're depending on someone else's computer. In this case, the author's JSON file. Yeah, I hope that's okay that I took us on a little bit of refresher. I just want to make sure that we've got those fetch API and promise concepts down. Look at me, I'm dropping water all over the place. Excuse me. Goodness, I made a mess. Sorry. Okay. Where was I? Great. So the last step we were at is that we were able to load those first 8 authors, which is fantastic. Now what we want to do is make it so that when we click on load more authors, that it actually loads more authors. Okay, Stephen B is asking a question here. I'm going to save that for the Q&A. I hope that's okay. In the meantime, could you expand a little bit more where the term handler is coming from? Thank you. Okay, so what we're going to be doing here, yes, we're going to start writing the code to fetch more authors. So we're going to make a new arrow function called fetch more authors, and we're going to make it an arrow function. And I'm just going to leave it blank for now, but we are going to cover a little bit of like what we're going to do when writing this function. So we're going to add a click event to our button. Makes sense. And we're going to increment the starting index and ending index variables because we want to make sure from which index to which index we load those authors. So cool. First part done. As always, we pat ourselves on the back for a job well done. Pat, pat. And we'll keep going. I'm going to turn on the light. I was kind of hoping that daylight saving time might not make it dark here, but hey. So, okay, we are inside our fetch more authors function now. And check it out. We're going to increment starting index by 8 because we want to load the next 8 authors. Thank you very much, Stephen B, for adding that context. Ending index. So starting index and ending index are both incremented by 8. So far, so good. Pat, pat. We'll keep going. Of course, we're not doing anything with this yet. However, what if just for fun? Hear me out. Before we display our authors, we call our function fetch more authors. Hold on, didn't call it. Forgot the brackets. Now check it out. Instead of starting from Quincy, we've started, because we've increased those indices before we displayed the authors, we're starting at Naomi now. So we're actually starting from author number 8 to author number 16. Author number 15. Remember that the slice ends at the index that is before the object at that index. Cool. So that works. I find it always really helpful to just play around a little bit with our code. Just to make sure, like, even though I might be doing something like weird or silly, like just to make sure that it's doing the thing. Aha! Now we're going to, after we've incremented our indices, we're going to actually display those authors. So display authors. And remember, let's just take a look at the structure of this function. By the way, fun fact, seeing the parameters and what this function returns is called the signature of a function. So we can see the signature of this function contains an array of authors as a parameter. So we're going to pass to it as an argument. What was it called again? Oh gosh, I keep forgetting. Display author data r. Okay, author data r dot slice. And this slice, remember, needs a starting index and an ending index. Because we've already incremented these, we could go starting index and ending index. I want to try something. Because, like, we still haven't done anything here, right? We'll need to add the click event listener to the button. But what if right after we display those authors, we fetch more authors? Is that the correct code? I think so. Fetch more authors. Fantastic. So we should have those first 8, and then there's Naomi. Okay, cool. So we've fetched 8 more. Cool. So our code passes, pat, pat, and we'll keep going. Now we're going to take our load more btn element, which is stored in this variable, and we're going to add an event listener to it. That event is a click, and our callback or handler. Sorry, Stephen B. I'll answer that question in a bit. In short, they're kind of essentially the same thing, but we'll get down to it when during the Q&A. Right, so we need to, oh, interesting. So instead, okay, cool, check this out, everybody. Here we're passing a callback that would call fetch more authors, right? And, hold up, if we do it, it works. There's Naomi, right? But here's the thing. This is a function, right? So if we, in order to clean up our code a little bit, what we could do is say like, hey, instead of calling what I have highlighted here, this whole function, call, check it out. This does the same thing, but instead of having a function that calls that function, it's just the function. So if I do it here, yeah. So this passes. Just need to add my semicolon, pat, pat. Cool, let me do this real quick. So this bootcamp is free. Free Code Camp is also free, and they're a registered nonprofit, so they depend on donations. So if you want, if you can, don't be spending money you don't have. You can always come back later if you want. Donate it to them a couple dollars every month. But for now, we're going to click on Ask Me Later. Stephen B saying, so when there's an event involved, we refer to the callback as a handler. Kinda, sort of. I'll give you the sort of overview of it, right? In JavaScript, okay? A callback is a function or a method that you pass as a parameter, right? A handler or an event handler is a function that gets called when an event happens, right? So when we're, for example, why am I doing this? When we have the event of an error, we catch it and pass to it a callback. That callback is a handler. So it might help to think of it as all handlers are callbacks, not all callbacks are handlers. Does that help? Now, our FCC, our Free Code Camp authors page is now complete, but we're going to do some more improvements. Cool. So if we click on the load more authors buttons a couple of times, I'm glad, Stephen B. So if I click, oh, hold up. We're going to not be able to add more authors to the page. That's because we've reached the end. I would expect to see an error, but I guess there is none. Okay, fair enough. So, of course, that's totally fine. It does technically work and there's no errors, but ideally we should be able to be like, okay, this button won't do anything anymore, right? So what we're going to do is disable the button if we've reached the end. So we are inside our fetch more authors fetch more authors button. And we're going to write an if statement to check that, cool, is our author data array.length smaller than or equals to the ending index? Because once we've reached this, as in once the ending index is equals to or bigger than this, we've reached the end of our array of authors. There's no more data to load. Now, our if statement should take in author data array. See, I wanted to write array. My bad. Okay, I've still got a typo here. Author. Look at that. Gosh, I can't type today. I keep saying that. There we go. Pat. Let's keep going. Cool. Now, we're going to take our load more. How does it go again? Load more BTN. Cool. BTN dot disabled equals true. Remember, we're setting this HTML attribute on this element. We're also going to change its text content. Text content. No more data to load. Semicolon. That looks good. I want to try it out because it should work by now. So scroll. Click, scroll, click. Check it out. No more data to load. And you can't tell, but I'm clicking on it and like it's not reacting, right? Like you can see that it's not like changing its it's not reacting to when I click it, the CSS. Next, we're going to dynamically add some separation between the bio and the photo. So we're going to do that here in our dynamically created HTML by adding a div with the class of purple divider. Now, some of y'all might be wondering, like, hold on, Ramon, why did we not do this at the beginning? And that's a valid question. This is because, let's imagine, hey, this could look better if I added this. And it's really good to be able to get that context to come back to a piece of code we might have written before and be like, oh yeah, how did this work again? Yeah, I was writing some dynamic HTML. I'm just going to squeeze in a div with a purple divider in there, which is nice. That works. Pat. So next, we're going to, again, dynamically change it so that if some folks' bios are way too long, for example, Jennifer's here, check it out. Their link is spilling out of their card. This is because the cards themselves we want them to have a uniform sizing, and probably in the CSS, let's take a look. Card. Is it card? Yeah, user card. Check it out. They have a hardwired height. That means that every card is going to be 350 pixels tall. Ideally, we might have some CSS that would like make it so that they're all as tall as the tallest one. But okay, maybe in this front-end project, we're not allowed to touch the CSS, let's just say. So we need to instead manipulate our text. So what we're going to do here is restrict or truncate our text. So no matter what the length of the bio is, remember we're using the bio here, we're going to check, hey, is the bio.length bigger than 50? Question mark. And if it is, we will slice out the first 50 characters. You'll see what I mean in just a minute. Otherwise, we'll just show the bio. Now let's take a look. Quincy, for example, not too long. Let's scroll down to Jennifer again. Check it out. So that shortened it to 50 characters because we extracted a copy of those first 50 characters from 0 to index 50. Now, I want to confirm that though. So, okay, let's see. Yeah, see? Checkham is saying, hey, hello. Text overflow ellipses would be cool to look into later. You are absolutely right. We might play around with that. Actually, do you know what? We have time now. Let's give it a try. I don't know if that'll work though. Where's our card? Where's the bio? Haha. Text overflow ellipsis. Did I do that right? Now, why would that not work? That's because it... Aha! Hold on. Our card should have that. I will admit, it is very, very chaotic to do CSS live. Purple divider, author name, bio. Let's put it here as well. I think it might have to do with the 350 pixels. I love this. Checkham's like, CSS is always the final boss. It's true. If I had more time, I might play around with this. But like, essentially what Checkham here is suggesting is that CSS does have a built-in way, and it's really, really handy for like saying like, hey, if the text does go outside of its range, truncate it and replace that removed text with an ellipsis. An ellipsis is a triple dot. It kind of looks like this. Dot. Looks like that. It's one character. It's pretty cool. Okay. Sorry. Didn't mean to go off on a tangent there. I hope I can undo here. I cannot. I have to write it again. That's fine. Dot length is bigger than 50, question mark. Bio dot slice 50. Otherwise, it's just the bio. So Checkham saying, I think you also need other properties like overflow, hidden, and white space, no wrap for your ellipsis to work. Tell you what, Checkham, thank you. We're going to save that for when I mess around during Q&A. By the way, folks, please ask questions. Since this is relatively short, we're kind of coming up to the end soon. Oh, hold up. If the bio is greater than 50 characters, you should extract the first with slice and replace the rest with a dot. Oh. Really? Oh, yeah. Look. See, I should read the full instructions. To give the cards you can extract the first 50 characters and replace the rest with an ellipsis ... Now, how would we do that? I would probably do it with... Can I do this? With, what are they called? Template literals. Then I'll use $ notation here. Jane saying regex. Cool. Let me try this first. Don't get me wrong. I love regex, but you should expect... Maybe you're right, huh? Fine, we'll use regex. How would I do that? So bio.replace bio.slice 50 with ... Let's give that a try. Not yet. You should extract the first 50 characters with slice and replace the rest with ... Don't forget that indexes are 0 based. The first... don't forget that they're 0 based. No, hold on. 49. Right? Oh, I could really use more of a hint. Let's try something else, shall we? How about maybe just once, like... Maybe I was onto something with the template literals before. Try that again. What, a little plus? Can't I use template? So Stephen B saying, hey, you want to use ... after the slice call, which makes it... Oh, did my camera freeze? Oh, no. I look so annoyed. I'm sorry, everybody. Here, let me try and fix that real quick. There we go. Goodness gracious. That was embarrassing. I looked so annoyed. Anyway, where was I? Yes. Let me see if I can try that with template literals. So bio.slice, of course, it's 49 because it's the first 50. And then ... Please let this work. Fine, we'll do it with plus. Bio.slice 49 plus ... Or maybe it is 50. Bio.slice plus ... Hold on. Wait. Oh, there's 4 downs. Sean, it wants to start at an end index. Thank you. I mean, okay, we're going to look into this because I'm a little bit suspicious. Cool. Pat, thank you, everybody. But I'm still suspicious. Hold on a sec. First, I want to see if it accepts the template literal thing, because I like template literals. So bio.slice 0 to 50. Oh, wait. Oh, dang. No, it really does want that, huh? Okay, fair enough. I want to come back to that slice thing, though. Bear with me. Where was I? Right. Cool. Now we're going to add some error handling. Cool. You know, it is nice that we have that console error, and like it is going to show up in the console, but we're not really giving an indication to the user that there is an error. So we're going to replace. So, okay, no, Stephen B, we're coming back to this because I have thoughts. We're going to replace our console error, and author container is going to have its inner HTML set to be a paragraph, P, and close the P element, with the class set to be error. Oh, hold on. Error message. And the content is going to say there was an error loading the users. First, we're going to see if it works. Like if it's... It does work. Cool. The thing is, I want to try it out. Now, we could, again, I said, like, I could turn off my internet, but then y'all wouldn't be able to see me anymore, which isn't very helpful. But what if I triggered a 404 error? Look, there it is. There was an error loading the users. By triggering a 404 error, because this address, authors.jso does not exist, because this address doesn't exist, it's like error 404. So we catch that error and we display this instead. Otherwise, loads our authors. Pat, let's keep going. I think we got one more step. Yep, one more thing. So what we can do with our button is, instead of, you see when I hover over it, by default buttons have a CSS style, I think it's called like cursor colon display, cursor colon point. I'll try this again. Cursor colon pointer, right? I can't talk today. Okay, so cursor colon pointer. What we can do is when we run out of authors to load, we can change that cursor style. So load more btn dot cursor style dot cursor, because we're changing CSS, cursor is equals to not allowed. So watch the pointer. Right now it's, wait, you do see it, right? You do see it change? Oh, it's so small. I'm sorry, folks. Like I made it on my, okay, I hope you can see it. There's a little like next to my pointer. If I have the stream software on the other window, so I can't see. So I'm gonna have to rely on y'all to tell me. With that said and done, check our code. It passes, and hey, we are done. Once again, Bootcamp is free. Free Codecamp is free. If you can, since they're a registered nonprofit, you can donate to them a couple dollars a month, but you can come back later and do it. There's no pressure to start now. Checkham says, I didn't know about the no allowed property. That's cool. We'll look at a couple more. So with that, we're done. Before we go into Q&A, and please type in more questions if you have them, I just want to highlight what we'll be doing tomorrow. So tomorrow, sadly, I will not be here, but Justin Stewart will be here to do more fetch API promises, async await, and the try catch statement. So there's a lot coming in tomorrow. It's going to be a two-parter once again. There's a lot to cover, but I'll be back on Wednesday. Homework, as usual, is to give yourself a break. You're covering so much. Don't worry if you've fallen behind. Remember, all of this is recorded. Remember, Discord stays there so you can come and ask questions at any time. Okie dokie. Let's do some Q&A. Right. I do want to answer this again, Stephen B. Does a term handler always refer to what exactly? Any function, only functions called on async operations? And when we said handler, we're referring to describe catch, and the MDN learning guide also uses it to describe then calls. So yeah, the general understanding here is a callback is a function that we pass as an argument to another function. A callback is a function that gets called when an event takes place. So in my opinion, and hey, I'm probably going to be wrong. Here we go. I got this. All handlers are callbacks. Not all callbacks are handlers. Oh, opinion. Stephen B's like, well, why would we want to have a template literal inside a template literal? You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right in questioning this. And this is, well, I'm in the wrong project. This is going to come down to taste. And, well, the never-ending battle of what is best practices. So let's say we have a template literal in here. I am a piece of text with, okay. I'm actually excited about this one. Okay. So we've got a template literal, and we're going to say with, let's say we have an array. Hear me out. Const array equals, hold on. Hello world. Okay. So I'm a piece of text with array.length. No, hold on. With array.length item. No, we're doing this differently. Array.length is bigger than, is not equals to 1. Hear me out. Is not equals to 1. Don't need this. Let's just focus on code. Okay, not equals to 1, colon. And then we're going to have here a template literal, because I want to have dynamic text in here as well. Array.length item, because it's 1. Oh, I did this wrong. Hold on. That's a question mark, not a colon. Item, colon. array.length items. Now let's take a step back. I'm going to expand my window just a bit so because I really want this to fit on one line. I'm so sorry, everybody. Give me 1 second. How much? Okay, I'm almost there. Ooh, there we go. Bear with me. Now, because the $ syntax does allow us to embed or put inside a JavaScript expression, there's nothing stopping us from using template literals inside template literals. That is perfectly valid. It's going to come down to opinion. Whenever I want to have dynamic text, I prefer not to have text addition. Like I prefer not to add strings like this, but this comes down to a matter of taste. I prefer to use template literals. So, as always, be consistent. Check them. I love your suggestion. Let's try. Nothing lost in trying, right? Let me just reduce my window width again. Okay. So is this already? Yeah, let's change this again. So instead of doing the slicing stuff, let's change our CSS. So we need other properties like overflow hidden and white space no wrap. Let's give it a try. Bio. So you're suggesting, let me make some space. Overflow hidden and white space no wrap. Wrap, not warp. And then, oh gosh, what was it again? What did you call it? Text overflow ellipsis. Thank you. Text overflow ellipsis. No, hey, oh, look. It's already working. Of course, that's not going to allow it to it's going to force them to be only one line, but it does work. It's a good suggestion. Thank you, Checkham. Stephen B saying nested template literals. It is an option. We've nested stuff before. Is that all the questions? Gosh, we are finishing early today, friends. Oh, no. Checkham saying, oh, I didn't know about the no allowed property. Cool. Haha, I'm excited about this. Oops. MDN. So what was it called? Cursor. Just wanted to show you all a couple of options for stuff that we have. Let me make this a tiny bit. Nope, we're doing this the other way. I'm going to zoom out just a touch. Cool. So again, MDN, incredible stuff. So the help one gives us a question mark. Wait gives us a little waiting indicator. I really hope you all can see it. It's probably very small. Crosshair is a crosshair. Not allowed is this one here. Zoom in gives us the magnifying glass. Grab gives us the grabby hand. And there's a bunch more. Check it out. Here we go. Auto, default. I'm going to actually zoom in again. Whoopsie, that's too far in. Context menu, help, pointer. You might be wondering, hold on, yours don't look like that, Ramon. These are just like older icons. They look like something out of Windows 95. That's aging me a little bit. But yeah. Bunch of stuff in there. I want to read this comment from Checkham. Also be careful with ternaries. If it's about a case where you only have true and false, using one is fine. But if you have more in an if else case, for example, go for a switch case. Fantastic advice. Thank you so much. Personally, I use ternaries mostly when I do like one-liner things. Like if it goes too far, then I'll use an if statement or something. Jane remembers Windows 3.1. Me too. Okay, I think that's everything for today. Just as a reminder, we'll be back tomorrow to do... Here we go. asynchronous programming by building an FCC forum leaderboard. Sadly, I will not be there, but you'll have much better teachers there tomorrow because Stuart and Jess will be there. And yeah, remember, take your time. If something doesn't click, give it some time. You don't have to understand everything super in depth right away, but if you do get stuck, please ask questions in Discord or here live. And yeah, welcome to the last week of this boot camp. It's been great having you all as always, and I wish you the most wonderful rest of your day. Bye for now.